What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the show. You can subscribe, like, and comment on anything on this channel if you go to @JackO'Hara.tv. This is episode 561 of the podcast. We're presented by TickPick.com. You ever use TickPick?
Not really aware of it, no.
So like StubHub, Ticketmaster, all of those ticket buying websites.
Yeah.
If you want to go to sporting events, concerts, you name it, you can get $20 off by using the promo code OSHOW20. That's capital OSHOW20 for $20 off your next order. Amanda Roche, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah,
I was telling you before, I wish I wore my black leather jacket today because
we could have been twins. We're
honestly,
so close.
I feel like when you like dress well, like dress for success, people take notice. Like that's what Al always said about me. He's like, I always had the long blonde hair, and I always showed up in the leather jacket. He's just like, he just looks different compared to the people showing up in like the Havocs t-shirt.
You were ready to go always.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But I appreciate you coming. You're graduating in what'd you say, 4 weeks?
4 weeks, yeah.
4 weeks. You pumped for that, or is that kind of just like whatever?
I'm so excited for that. I've been waiting for it.
Excited in the sense that you're finally getting out, or
Yeah.
because now you can actually go into like full time working with like Fox and NASCAR and all this other stuff that you got going on.
Yeah, excited in the sense that it's just going to free up more of my time.
Yeah.
I'm going to miss the campus. I'm going to miss the people because I'm one of the only people within my group that's kind of graduating. But it's still,
always tough.
Yeah, it's still good to be a December graduate.
Yeah, I feel like that was like Diana and I guess Montana's case too. Did they graduate at the same time?
They did, yeah, in the spring last year.
I was lucky enough to go out with like 4 or 5 of our closest coworkers and friends.
Yeah.
It was just like picture taking for like 4 hours though. And then after that, I haven't seen any of them since in person.
Just document the moment. And
Exactly.
you're good.
And you're from New Mexico?
Yeah,
right?
I'm from Albuquerque, New
That's
Mexico.
not bad. 4 or 5 hour drive.
Yeah, it's about 7 hours. It's not too bad though.
I don't know.
Not so much different from Arizona, but
Really?
yeah.
What was like the number one thing to do there growing up?
Oh my gosh. Well, we're talking about Albuquerque, and this is a big little city, and it takes like 15 minutes to get from one edge of the city to the next. So there was not a lot.
Well, they have like the hot air balloon. What is it, like a festival event every year?
Yes.
I've been to once.
Yeah, that's the most notable thing that you totally want to go to. I live for that every year.
Really?
I always go back for that because there's like 500 air balloons that like lift off the field. It's cool.
I've actually never been in one. I just like went there and like checked it out with a
Yeah.
group of friends. Like, what's it like going up in a hot air balloon?
It's cool. I did it for my 21st birthday. It's weird because you don't really know you're lifting off the ground until you just like look down and you're like, oh, we're up. We're actually up off the ground. But it's so quiet. That's the weird part because once you get up to a certain altitude, you can't hear any car noise, like no street noise. It's just dead silent. But
That doesn't scare you at all?
No, it freaked me out.
I was going to say, I'd be freaking out up there.
Okay. Yeah. No,
You'd find out very quickly that I'm not like a man's man up there. Just like, guys, I don't know about this. I don't know. That's interesting. You did that for your 21st birthday?
I did that. Yeah, for my 21st birthday. That was a great way to
That's kind of like a very like mellow 21st birthday then.
It is. It was good because then when we landed and it was like only 9 a.m. they gave us Irish mimosas as a tradition.
There you go.
There it was.
There you go. What else were you kind of into growing up then? Being out there besides sports, obviously.
Yeah. Well, for years I did horseback riding. I rode in the rodeo, and that was pretty much my mainstay for most of the time growing up. And my dad was like, "It's a phase. She'll grow out of it." But I still do it, and I love it. So
I rode a bull at the rodeo. What is it? Roadrunner. I don't know what town it is. It's like 40 minutes from here.
Yeah.
So people who go to rodeo say it's not a real rodeo. So I don't know what it's about, but you know, I decked out, got like the white bill and everything, cowboy boots, and was thrown off that thing within like 5 seconds.
I'm just curious how they let you ride the bull to begin with.
Oh, I just went up and asked. I'm like, this is cool. Like, we should ride bulls. And everybody else is like, yeah. I'm like, I'm going to go talk to them. They're like, oh, you're serious? No, you go do that. And I was able to connect with them because originally I wanted to like announce up in like the booth because I have like that one guy that promotes the hell out of it to everybody. I'm like, I could do that. So I just started introducing myself to people after like 2 or 3 times going. And they're just like, yeah, you got to train first. And then, so I was able to do it like 2 or 3 times before they actually let me get on one of those wild things. And it was just unsuccessful. But I'm glad I did it because I said I was going to do it. I'm like, I can't back out now.
Yeah, that takes courage.
People are watching. I mean, like, what's the worst that could happen?
So much. But that's really cool, though.
You've only rode a horse, though?
Yeah.
A lot more calm.
They don't really
I'm
buck
cool
you
and collected.
off. Yeah, if you do it right, they don't really buck you off.
We were wearing like all this padding too. It was almost like a bulletproof vest that they made you wear just in case I kick you or something.
Yeah. Yeah, that's part of the danger of it.
No.
I've gotten to sit on a bowl. I didn't ride it. They just were like, hey, you want to come take a picture on the bowl? And I was like, sure.
What if it just like went batshit insane? What would have happened?
That was a worry, but he was nice.
Yeah.
His name was like Timmy or something. It was so cute.
So how'd you get into sports then, growing up? Like, what was the sport that you watched growing up above everything else?
Yeah, the sport that I watched above probably everything else was football. Just that was a big family thing for us. Just every Thursday night, Sunday night,
I can
going
imagine.
with my grandparents. Yeah, so that was a big part of my life growing up for sure. And then also volleyball. Just I had a lot of friends involved in it, and I did it for a little bit, and that was fun.
Volleyball is fun. Honestly, I didn't know anything about volleyball until GCU, having to call those games. They're so exciting. Mm-hmm. Like, my big sports are baseball, and I could do basketball just because it's exciting, but not necessarily, like, a whiz at it. Mm-hmm. Football, I would have been able to do. Softball, just because it's just like baseball, minus a few things, which they always got me for. I always called, like, the mound, or the circle a mound, and I would always say, like, 90 feet instead of 45, 50 feet, whatever it is. I still don't know what it is, and they would, the PR person in there would always just tear me apart because of it while I'm trying to call the game. It was so annoying. But those were like my main sports, and then like volleyball and soccer, I was like, I don't know like how I'm going to do this. And then I was able to do games with Diana, which made it easier because that's all she did. Mm-hmm. And then the games were really exciting as opposed to soccer, which it's like I really had to do my homework because the games weren't necessarily that exciting in the program at the time.
Right. They've developed their program quite a bit past that point, but soccer is a little bit harder to call just because you don't have as much scoring action. But yeah, volleyball is great. Diana taught me everything coming into volleyball, just kind of how to be comfortable on air, and I'm so grateful for her.
Do they still, not still, but like, do you have like a decent relationship with the coaches and everything, like going before games and like chatting them up and getting all the information you need?
Absolutely. So Tim Nolan's the women's volleyball coach.
He's the best.
He's amazing.
Best.
Yes.
He was the easiest.
Yes, absolutely. Just anytime we go to a practice to kind of scout out the team, he'll come up to us immediately, start talking about what they're doing, how the standings are looking, and he's so incredibly kind but intelligent. You just know that he loves this team. So he's easy to work with. He's probably my favorite.
Me and another one of my buddies, Kyle Borg, who was like, we were like the two broadcasters that were taking it very seriously throughout college. We developed like probably the best relationship with him just because he was just a cool guy. There was like they beat, I think it was Idaho. I could be wrong, but someone gave him like a potato, like one of the Havocs, and he latched onto that potato for like 4 months before it went bad. And that was always like my go-to thing with him. I'm like, how's the potato? Like I have one, like they gave me one, like they had two and they gave me one. And he's just like, all right, give it a rest, O'Hara. Like if you don't have anything else to say, we're not really going to build chemistry here. I think that was the only thing I had on him.
I love that.
Yeah.
Potato.
He was great. I had a good relationship with Ann Pearson, who was the softball coach at the time. Now it's the dude, Shannon.
Yes, Shannon Hayes.
Glad I got that right. Andy Stankiewicz was a good guy for baseball. Who's there now for baseball? Do you know?
I'm not quite sure. I know it's a new guy.
I know he went to like USC. And then basketball was always tough for women's. I don't think they've ever had like a coach that like took the students seriously.
Right.
Which was difficult. But I won't let you talk about that stuff because you're still there. What else kind of inspired you to get into it? I know I listened to briefly your IGTV with your mom's childhood best friend. So that's kind of like my main preparation for this podcast. You obviously Aaron Andrews was an inspiration. Like, was sideline always like the one thing? Like, if you ever got into sports, like that was going to be like the one area. Do you like commentating?
I love commentating. I feel like I like sideline reporting more because I've had a little bit more of experience with that working through a news station.
Yeah.
But commentating's fantastic as well. It's just a little bit harder to move up, I feel like, that way unless you played it professionally. That's kind of the stitch with that, but it's great to be able to do it right now. And I do love it just because you get to tell all the stories for 2 hours.
Big storyteller.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. I grew up not knowing that I would kind of take the sports route. I did a lot of just reporting and a lot of media creation for a company that I worked with before this, and just kind of got a knack for learning to read off the teleprompter and I was like, oh, this is easy. I kind of like doing this. This is something I'm interested in. And then just applied for a ton of jobs here. And that was the one that opened. And I called my dad and I was like, I'm really worried about this. I don't know if I know everything I need to going into this. So he's always been my biggest supporter in this. So I'll always have my like phone out during games because he'll listen to my live stream and be like, you could ask this or you could talk about this. And he's such a great mental coach for me that way.
Right. What does he do?
He's an engineer at Intel. So not in the sports world at all, but he lives his life outside.
But he's supportive and knowledgeable about it. My dad's the same way. My dad works in like pharmaceuticals, like in sales, and would just constantly critique the hell out of everything that I was doing. Yep. Just like, I appreciate it. Like some things you're right, but like slow down. Like my phone's like ding, ding, ding. Like I have to put it on silent during the games. I'm just like, relax.
Exactly.
Don't you have anything better to do with your time right now?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's really cool. So you started really young. Like way younger. Like I started freshman year in college. Like I waited till, like I always say, like if I can go back and do it again, I would have started younger. Because I always thought like, all right, when I'm in college, that's when I can pursue my career choices and whatever. I never thought to do anything on my own in high school.
Right. It technically wasn't on my own. It was like through a company. And I don't know why they gave me as much responsibility as they did at like 16, 17 years old. But they're like, run with it, kid. So I did. And it was fun. And it gave me the experience that I needed to. And then I transferred into GCU. So I had a little bit more time that I haven't had to spend with GCU, which I feel sad about that because I've only had maybe 2 years with the program doing and calling games.
Yeah.
But,
it really is a great environment. Like,
it is.
Like I was saying, like I loved working with every single person that came in and came out of those 4 years. And I was like I didn't even know about GCU TV or like their broadcasting production team till like 6 months in, like the second semester of freshman year. They're just like, oh, they have that if you want to do it. I'm just like, why didn't anybody tell me? You know, like, and everybody else was already there basically starting out. But if you can go back and like listen to all of our broadcasts, like I was telling you before with a few people, like everyone was awful.
Yeah.
Everyone was awful. And then by the time we graduated, we're like, all right, we got this down. Like people respected us by the time we left. But like starting out, we thought we were good at it. And we were like looking back at old tapes on YouTube, whether they were like Lope 60s or soccer games. And I'm just like, we need to take these off YouTube like immediately.
Yeah, I know. I was really surprised they let us have as much free reign as they did just going into it. They're just like, you'll iron out the kinks on your own. I go, okay.
There were so many coaches that were like mad about it too. Like we need to get professional voices in there.
Yeah, I know. Well, we ended up kind of training ourselves to do that. I know several of the sports now, people are comfortable enough calling and just they have the history with it, and calling every game too, I think also makes a difference. Yeah. You just know everything moving forward with that season. No,
I mean, literally, like when I left GCU, I was like, I'm going to see who else they bring in, because our class, it was everybody. Like we had 4 or 5 of us that were all leaving. So it was going to be an entirely new bunch plus Diana. And I'm like, all right, like let's watch some of these games just to see how they are. Like some people were just going to be like, we knew it was probably going to be awkward because people didn't have the experience. But then there were a few, like Houston, I got to do a game with for softball. I think he's very good if he like put everything into it. And then there was you. I saw like a Lope 60, I think. I'm just like, yeah, like she could do that. Like I could see like 10 years down the line, like that's easy. She has the voice for it. Yeah. Is that like, what's the main goal? Obviously the more experiences you get into, it's going to change, but like, what's your end game? What's going to make you happy in this field?
I'm really going towards sideline reporting for the NFL. That's my big dream someday. That would be fantastic if I reach that. If it's like shoot for the stars, you might hit the moon. I could end up with something else too, and I'd be just as happy because I didn't know I would love this world as much as I do. But once I got into it, it just hit the ground running, and I was like, oh, we're not going to stop.
Is there anything else that you'd want to do, like outside of sports?
Outside of sports, really anything in media. I'm comfortable doing anything when it comes to radio or just kind of being on air or like writing scripts or behind the scenes. Like I've had years of doing that. And it's really fun to be able to do also the social media portion of that too. So. Oh
my God. You learn so many different things that you didn't think you were going to have to learn.
Yeah.
Especially like in the office, like I'm editing like in Final Cut and Adobe Premiere and working with editors on how to tell certain stories, the music to play in the background, the transitions and everything. And I'm obsessed with that stuff. Like just like editing this. I'm like, this is awesome. Like I wish I like knew how to do this in college, because in college, I don't know, like, do you guys ever work with like Gina Sandos or like any of those people? So that was my boss when I was there, and like we'd have to do Final Cut and stuff, and she hated me because I never knew how to do, like I never learned in the 4 years. I would always have to like edit stuff, and I would always like kind of like half-ass the work while I'm just like 2 more hours of the shift. Nobody really knows what I'm doing, and I would never get the work done because I never asked any questions, and I never even like wanted to learn how to do it.
I appreciate that, because I feel like I did that for my first year there, and I just was too scared to ask anything.
Oh, you don't want to be an idiot, you know?
Yep.
And it's like the simplest thing now. I'm like, oh, I know how to do all of this stuff. Now that I'm actually doing like work that I care about, I think that was half of it too.
Yeah, that helps quite a bit.
I'm just like editing like Lope's Kitchen, like all of like these soups and sauces that they're making a part of like GCE. I'm like, I don't really care about any of this stuff. Like, give this to the people that know how to edit.
Yeah, I forgot that you were still a part of the GCE side too before they split that off.
They split that off, I think, like the last semester that I was there. They're like, yep, we're going GCU. You're going to have to sign new contracts with them. And then there's GCE, which is the campus side.
I think I was part of the first team that just did GCU.
Yeah.
We never did anything before that. But yeah, no, Adobe Premiere Final Cut's a beast. Like, learning it's overwhelming. And then it's fine once you have it. It's just kind of like iMovie, and you're like, oh, there's nothing to this, and
no, nothing at all, and it's so expensive too. So it's like I'm just wasting people's money sitting here trying to figure this stuff out, because like it was already too late in the process. It's like, I've worked here for 4 years. I cannot ask for help at this point. They're just gonna be like, what have you been doing the last 4 years, Jack? Just sitting there like, yeah, just collecting your money. That's all I did.
Too scared to ask.
Put me in front of the camera. Don't make me edit my own stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
I know.
At what point did you get over hearing your own voice on camera?
That's a good question. I don't think you ever really get over that.
No.
And the first time I heard my voice on camera for doing a GCU broadcast, I put it down. The first 5 minutes, I was like, I can't listen to this. I don't like this.
Yeah.
But when I'm like super nervous, my voice gets really, really low. And that's what happened in that first broadcast. And I was like, this is not, no.
Yeah.
But it got so much easier than after that, and just very comfortable just knowing, oh, it's just you two. It was me and Diana at the time up in the booth. In your head, no one else is listening.
Yeah.
And then you can rewatch it later and take notes of what you could do better. That definitely got easier to listen to in time.
Did they ever turn on the comments on YouTube, or did they always make sure that those were off during live streams?
They always made sure that those were
Yeah.
off. And then now we just route through ESPN, so we don't have to deal with any of that.
There was like 2 or 3 instances where they left the comments on, and we were just getting torn apart by parents.
Yeah.
Name pronunciations. So someone called us racist for some reason,
Oh.
and we don't really know why. And that was the last time they're just like, okay, we're turning off the comments. We just want to let you guys know someone thought you were racist. I think I got a strike because of that.
Oh, interesting.
That was also my claim to fame at GCU TV. I got more strikes, I think, than anybody there. Because I was just like pitching ideas left and right. We like started a podcast, me and my buddy Kyle, that was like a GCU podcast, but not affiliated with GCU TV.
Right.
And I would use the logos. And they were like, that's copyright. You're both getting written up for this. My buddy Kyle was immediately like, it was all his idea, you know? Like, I had nothing to do with this. I don't know why. He's like, I was always the good one. I'm like, yeah, not anymore.
Yeah.
Sinking down with me, pal. I think I slept in for Lope 60. I was supposed to do Lope 60 one time. And I woke up at like, because it was during spring break. And I like just fell asleep in my apartment. Mm-hmm. And I woke up, and the sun was just blazing down on me. I'm like, there's no way it's like 6 or 7 a.m. Whenever we had to go, it was like 10 o'clock. I had like 12 missed calls, like 30 text messages. I like went into work the next day. I'm like, hey guys, sorry about this. They had like the guy who usually does camera, who's never done an on-air thing in his life, who was always pitching to do. He's like, can I do Lope 60 once before I graduate? They're like, nah, it's more so for the on-air talent people. And they gave him, you've probably met him, Robert Purcell.
Yes.
Works in tech.
Oh, yes.
That's who got to do Lope 60 that one time. Because he's like, they're like, maybe one day, Robert. And I don't think they were ever going to give it to him. And I gave him his big break. I always say that because like I just didn't set my alarm or something. But they were like, it's okay. Just wanted to make sure you were alive because you weren't answering any text messages. But like, you signed this slip. You're getting like written up for that. I'm like, okay. I think I had 5 strikes by the end of my my tenure there.
You still outlived him.
Oh yeah, I think it was like 3 strikes in one semester, and then they like wipe it clean. I think I got to 2 senior year.
Interesting.
I said crap on the air. No, I said hell on the air. Oh. Which it just like slipped. I'm like, that's not really that bad. But I guess at a Christian school, not necessarily what you want for your 30 viewers that are watching.
It's a strike.
Yeah.
That cracks me up.
You've never gotten a strike?
No, not yet.
Just perfect?
Sure. Perfect. No, I have 4 weeks left of this semester and then next semester, and then I'll make it out clean. I'll be good.
That's the right attitude to have.
Yeah.
What else did I do? I almost dropped an F-bomb. I think I said the F word while we were on commercial, and it was a student run. It was a volleyball game at the gymnasium. So you know how they have like the setup like right behind you?
Yeah.
And it was a student run thing with the director, and she just goes, "All right, you guys are back live." And like we were like in the middle of just like trying to crack each other up, and I just like turned around because I don't think we could really hear her through our headsets. She was kind of like yelling it. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, "What?" Like she's like, "What did you say something?" I'm like, I may have, you know, like, so we went back and looked at it, and like my buddy like texted his dad who was watching the game. He's like, "Can you go back and check?" He's like, "No, nothing happened." So that would have gotten me fired. Yeah. I don't think that would have been a strike.
That was really close. I bet you're sweating for that one.
I was so nervous. There's like those few moments in life where like just like chills run through your body. Mm-hmm. And you just feel like so like embarrassed and relieved at the same time. That was one of those.
Yeah.
I had another one of those the other day. Have you seen the movie Smile?
I haven't, no.
Are you big into horror movies at all?
Not really my genre. I haven't even really heard anything about this.
I always say that I'm big into horror movies, and then I go see them with friends. I'm always the guy like, what's happening? But this movie, very creepy. Like, if you have ever seen the trailers for it.
I haven't heard anything about this.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, you gotta see it. I'm gonna look it up for you right now. Yeah. But I was at home cleaning out my apartment. I moved into a new apartment literally yesterday. And like how on like Netflix or Paramount or whatever, like Fire Stick, they'll like put up like all the previews or like the wallpapers for each movie that they're promoting.
Yeah.
So this movie had like the creepiest, and I saw this a few weeks ago, and it was in my head for a while, but it got to a point where it's just like psychological. And I was cleaning out my apartment, and I didn't realize my TV was on, and like the wallpaper for this came up. I thought my TV was off, and when I turned around, that was the only thing that was staring at me.
No, I would.
Nothing playing, nothing. It was just like a chill of like, I felt like a ghost like walked through me.
Yeah, no, not big into that.
Like literally, like I felt like I had just like smoked like a 20-foot bong or something, and I just like was like, oh my God, like where am I right now? Am I dying? Is this how it ends?
You're just frozen. Not fight or flight, just freeze.
But anyway.
Yeah.
When was the time that you felt like that in your life?
Great segue into that. Just like in like on camera broadcasting or just
anything. If you want to stay on topic broadcasting, but I'm interested to hear it all.
I feel like a time I totally felt like that was during one of the rodeos I was in, and you compete all day, probably from 7 a.m. to like 7 p.m. And that's at the very end is when you do barrel racing, and that's so fun, and it's a crowd favorite. Having competed all day, I totally forgot to eat, which was not a good thing. And I went out to go do my run, and halfway through, I'm like, I'm not feeling good. I don't know why I'm feeling good. And then I blacked out.
No.
And flew off the horse, and then almost hit my head through the fence.
No, really?
Didn't wake up remembering anything.
How old were you?
I was probably 15 at the time. So that was not a good experience, but I knew like right before it happened too, like that sinking pit, like coming into your stomach, you're like, something bad's gonna happen. And then I just blacked out and it was done. And woke up and don't remember really too much of that. And just from what the stories that people tell me of what happened, because I lived on short-term memory probably for the next 2 or 3 weeks, like just no long-term. It was a nasty concussion, so.
Just asking people the same question over and over again?
Yeah.
Like 60-year-olds?
Yeah, pretty much. My mom and my brother can testify to that. The weirdest part was going in and just like seeing TV shows running and stuff. I was like, oh, this is a new air. They're like, it's not. I've seen this like 20 times. Like, yeah.
So weird. Like that's even like with my parents. They'll ask me questions. I'm like, we talked about that like 2 hours ago. Like, what's going on?
It is.
And sometimes I get like that too. I'm like, oh my God, did I ask you that like 2 hours ago? Like, what's going on with me? I gotta like get off my phone or something.
Yeah, that's fair.
I like became that guy that once like it hits 9 o'clock, I'm just like, all right, winding down, going to bed. That's
Turning
it.
the brain off.
Like it's off. That's crazy though. That's kind of traumatic.
It was, yeah, that was the worst fall that I've had. Like with the sport, it's just kind of a danger with it.
Yeah.
Sure. It just comes with it. But that was the worst that I had. And my rib cage was shifted like this. So chiropractic worked that back. And yeah, I didn't ride for a little bit after that just to give myself a minute to get myself back together.
Was it rough getting back on the horse?
I was
Literally
excited.
getting back on the horse?
My family was nervous.
Yeah.
They didn't like that I still wanted to do it, but it's just like anything you love. You know, you calculate that risk going into it, and even if it does happen and you still love it, it's not going to stop
What's
you.
the worst that could happen?
Yeah.
It's my life motto.
Yeah.
It's the worst that could happen.
Get you in trouble a little bit, but it was worth it.
On like that note though, like from a mentality standpoint, like really wanting to like kick ass in this field, whether it be like sports broadcasting, horse riding, whatever the hell you really want to do, like what's kind of like your main drive there?
Just main drive knowing that, well, kind of going into this, I kind of dealt with an autoimmune disease for several years that really inhibited me from doing a lot of what I loved doing and kind of put me back in a humbling place, not being able to pursue some of the dreams that I wanted and what I wanted to do at the time. And then I remember thinking to myself, like, if you set yourself to only be like, you're only a set of limitations to yourself in your mind, that's all you're ever going to be. And do you want to define yourself with that? Or do you want to just be able to push past that? And no matter how much it is, maybe just in your mind or from other people, or like, this is all that you can do, see what can happen. You don't know until you try it.
Amen. There's like so many things that I look back on. I'm like, wow, I was probably really nervous in that moment. And I just said like, F it. Like, again, like the worst that could happen is that you fail and you learn from it and you move on with it. Because you're probably going to look back at it anyways and think like, oh, that sucked. But in the moment you think it's awesome.
Right.
Like going back to like probably like the first reel you ever saw of yourself on camera. It's just like, oh my God, like why did I ever put that out there? But like you had to go through that. There's only one way through it.
There is. Yeah. And I tell people that all the time. Like, you have to have a bad take to have a good take. It's just like having a bad rehearsal run and then getting into the show and it's perfect. You kind of always want that, because if it's a good rehearsal run, you better be nervous for the show. Because you know that there's probably things that you have missed. But just being able to get past yourself and know that you're going to fail and then you'll be okay.
Yeah.
It's just the equation to everything that you're looking for. And I find that interesting that people get so hung up on that. Like, oh, this will be like, everyone will see me fail and then I won't be able to move past that. Everyone great has had that scenario and you don't remember that about them. You just remember the good that they've done and you just continue moving forward with that.
You know, I think you should try, if you ever really have the courage to do it, is stand-up comedy. Even if you're not like really funny at it. Like that is like the toughest form of public speaking.
Yeah. Yeah. That would be rough. I admire people who can do that, because that takes a lot of courage and prep for that too.
Just find like one or two friends that would want to do it. Like that's what I did start now, like going to like a few open mics, just bring like a buddy of mine and just like work on like shitty material at the end of the day. But like some people laugh and it's like, oh great. And then you go up one time and nobody's even paying attention. We did it one week and there were two people there and they both just had their backs turned, like eating their dinner, like just at like this pub. And I'm just like, okay, like the worst thing is going to happen tonight. You're going to get no reaction, but it's a great experience to have. And then like I got the chance, I have a few comics who I've had on the show just invite me. They're like, you want to do 10 minutes at the club tonight? I'm just like, yeah, absolutely. Like the most nerve-wracking thing ever.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you're not a comedian. You know you're not a comedian, but everybody's looking to laugh. So as long as you're halfway decent, you build up the confidence because people are laughing no matter what.
Yeah, that's a whole nother world, that if you just go up there knowing, like, you don't really know what the outcome's going to be. But I like that outlook. Like, the worst that can happen is they're not going to laugh. But
Exactly.
That's it.
You have to be fearless in this business, Amanda.
You do. Even if it's not the outcome that you're looking for, at least it was an experience that you can add, and just not taking it so personally, but just learning from it.
What's the worst you've ever felt like embarrassed doing something on camera?
Ooh, I haven't had like a really bad moment yet. Let's not put that there. But just a few times just talking on air when I'm not supposed to be or anything like that. It's just, I'm a perfectionist that way. So whenever I slip up,
What do you mean? Just like talking when you're not on air?
Or just when we're live and not knowing that we're still on camera. That's happened to everyone. But just kind of moments like that. Although, actually, there was a moment. And it was during my internship with KOB, which is a news station back home. And the guy who was training me, Brandon Ortega, fantastic at what he does, so knowledgeable. I think he thought I might be closer to the same level that he was, and I was not. And we went to a basketball game. It was a kickoff for one of the bigger things that the Lobos has hosted.
Yeah.
And just, I've never gone into a press room afterwards or asked anything during a conference. And he was like, go set up the camera, go ask a couple questions. It was like 5 minutes before. I was like, I don't know how to do this.
Adapt.
Yes. I think I asked one question during that entire conference. I was supposed to ask like 5 or 6. That was embarrassing. But because I was also the only female in that room, and like everyone else knew what they were doing, and they expected me to know that too, representing the station. I was like, I'm just the intern.
That's tough though. I feel like wanting to be in reporting though, you're just like what did you come up with?
On the spot, honestly, don't remember. It was just one of those moments where you just black out. Yeah. So, and it wasn't even like that scary because it's not necessarily you're on camera, but just being able to present yourself professionally and not having any content going into it and just being able to ask good questions.
That's this. Take notes.
Yeah.
I like breeze through your Instagram page. I'm like, all right, let's go.
Yeah. There's enough content on there. It's fine.
No, but at least you had the confidence going in as opposed to looking at it from another way. Just like, all right, I'm nervous. And then you get into it and you're like, that was fine. Like, that's the other thing about like the fear factor of like failing. It's like most likely, even if you do fail, it's not going to be as bad as like you're imagining it.
Right.
So it's like tough for people to really understand that. So like when people are really nervous, you're like, you just being nervous and not having confidence in doing this. Like even like if you're like doing commentary at GCU, it's just like people are going to see that like right off the bat. And then you're just going to turn them off anyways. So at least like fake acting like you're confident.
Right. Yeah. Putting on a facade or the fake it till you make it kind of thing, it helps a lot.
Yeah. Fake it till you make it until it gets to a point. Like I use that like for so long. Fake it until you make it.
Unless you're editing. Maybe ask some questions then.
Dude. I faked it, never made it, and got away with it.
That's a whole nother legend in and of itself.
Oh my God. Well, that's crazy though. Like that honestly isn't that bad of a embarrassing moment for you. I feel like you've had it easy so far.
So far. I'm definitely gonna have one. Ask me in a couple years.
Have you had any blunders on the air? Like you mispronounced something and it was weird?
I'm sure. I haven't been called out really for it yet. I did get called out for a volleyball game over saying like set or dump when it wasn't that several times. And just it's like taking comments like that. You're like, oh, I do need to work on that. And nothing in the moment where I was like, oh, don't say that.
Or like when you just knew and everybody around you knew, just like, oh, damn it.
Yeah. Nothing like that yet. Do you have any stories with that?
Too many.
Yeah.
Too many. I mean, I told you like circle or mound instead of circle. And is it still the same softball SID director that you know of? So you know, she can be rough. Mm-hmm. She's great at what she does. It's just like if you mess up, she lets you know. I said, I'm infamous for this. I said in a basketball game with him, it was like the first point of the game. Layup at the shot clock. Yeah. And I said shot cock because it just didn't come out right.
Oh my gosh.
And we just like kept going with it. But like my buddy who was with me put on all the cough buttons and was just cracking up. He's like, what did you say? Oh my God. And we still have the footage today. They always give me crap for it. Even the director, I forget who it was. They're just like, wow, like we're going to play that back later.
That's awful. Moron. Was that Travis or Leo that was like?
They weren't there yet.
Okay.
So I think they got hired my senior year, end of junior year. So it was like the people who worked for GCE. Maybe Al was there. I don't remember. But like they came back, they're just like the sarcastic clap, just like nice. And then another one I did, instead of sacrifice bunt, I said sacrifice blunt. Because like I'll just like talk and talk and talk, and then words just don't come out right sometimes. And it was actually on April 20th, so I'm like, oh. And then I made a 420 pun, and they hated that. Oh no! Our director was just like, dude, like I'm gonna take you off the air. Like, don't say that again. I think that was another strike I had actually.
I love the strikes that you've had because they're always legendary. Like you went out.
They weren't lame.
You were
yeah.
gonna go. Yeah.
It wasn't just like, oh, I was 5 minutes late to my shift. Like I went out of my way to really like push the line.
You're like, you're gonna remember me by the time I leave here.
Like you're lucky that these were only strikes, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, but yeah, I think that was the fifth strike. So I was late for a Lope 60, used copyrighted logos, said blunt on the air, and then elaborated on it. Said hell on the air, almost dropped an F-bomb on the air. That was actually a strike because I was like, whew. And they're like, what do you mean? Like, what's going on? I'm just like, oh, nothing. They're like, what happened? I'm like, nothing. Because like, it was post-broadcast. And they were just like congratulating everybody. And they're just like, oh, what a great broadcast, guys. I'm just like, yeah, we got away with it. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm just like, nothing.
Never mind.
They're like, tell us, Jack. I'm like, well, I'm about like halfway through like the set. I thought we were on commercial. And the thing is, I think it was Matt Worley. Is that his name?
For volleyball? Men's volleyball? Yeah.
Matt Worley. I think he got ejected for arguing with one of the judges. I think he dropped an F-bomb. And I was just repeating. I'm like, I think he said mother whatever. And I was explaining. I'm like, I almost dropped an F-bomb on the air. And they're just like, Jesus, Jack. Oh, and then I walked my next shift. They're just like, yeah, Jack, can you come meet with us like one-on-one or whatever? And they're just like, we kind of have to, right? Yeah, but you just have to be like sharper in the moment. Just know not to say it. I'm like, I understand. Yeah. But it's still lame. It's like you drew that out of me. I didn't have to tell you that.
I know. That wasn't even something that like happened all the way. But,
yeah.
Yeah.
Has anybody else since I left done anything stupid like that?
Not that I'm aware of.
Everybody's just like crystal clean.
I mainly work with Houston right now. Yeah. He's my other partner for volleyball. He's always clean. Like we've never had an issue. But I'm not sure about like soccer or basketball or anything else like that. Yeah. I'm sure there've been moments where it's just like, oh, I shouldn't have said that. That could be interpreted weird, but not like anything quite similar to the way you went out. Yeah. We had we had another, it was like, you know how you make like your 3 keys to the game or whatever? Oh, yeah. You do all of that. The Sanderson forward 3 keys to the game. Yep. I won't say who, but like someone who was kind of inexperienced at the time was writing out their 3 keys to the game. And it was like on me, they're like, make sure that their 3 keys to the game are good because it was going to be like their first broadcast with me who was there for like 3 years. And we were playing like, it was like the Hound Dogs or something, Bulldogs, I don't remember. But one of the keys was just like euthanize them. As in just like, basically just like, you know, like don't take your foot off the gas, whatever, like really. Yeah. Which made sense, but like just that term doesn't work. No. And that's, I was blatantly honest too. I was just like, this is just like too much. Like, I don't know where this came from, but like, we can't use this. And they got all butthurt about it. So I had to like apologize to them. It's another thing I did at GCU TV. I made multiple people cry. See, I wish I'd been able to work with you during these years because I would love to have seen all this.
The Office was so fun. Like I said, like we all loved each other. And I tried to stay in touch with like everybody. Obviously, like some people moved away, but some people are still here that I'm like really close friends with. Like it was such a good community of people. Right. Or like Diana moving to Montana kind of just like ruins everything. Getting off and getting married.
I know.
My inside joke with her was that one time I called her, we had another girl named Morley Thompson, who you know. And I called her Diana Thompson by accident.
Oh, no.
And I kept doing it, like, inadvertently. And there was one time I'm like, I'm going to get it right this time. And I was just like, Jack O'Hara alongside Diana. I looked at her. I'm like, Thompson. I'm like, damn it. Like, what happened?
You didn't even pause, Thompson.
So, like, every time I reach out to her, I'm like, Diana Thompson. I mean Johnson. I mean, like, Lauver or whatever her last name is now. Yeah. So it's just like a long, prolonged message whenever I reach out to her.
I love that. Well, Johnson, Thompson.
I know, it basically rhymes.
Yeah.
Like that entire crew, like I look back at, like even the people like just in video production, like in the film program that would work there just to get camera work, like everyone was so cool.
Mm-hmm. I know, we didn't have anybody left over when I started working there except for Diana in Montana. Yeah. That was it.
Is that how you kind of got in? Like I remember you saying that Like you saw what like some of Montana's work, and you're like, that's what I want to do.
Yeah, I remember like before I even came to the school, just kind of like looking on their page and stuff when you were still with like GCE. I was like, oh my gosh, this girl I like see all the time through her page. Then I'd end up working with her like a year later, which was really funny. But, yeah, she's great at what she does. So.
When she first got hired, she wasn't even hired at the time, but it was it was the same volleyball game I almost dropped an F-bomb, actually. So this was sophomore year. After the game, she came up to me because she was just like with a group of friends. It was her first year at GCU. It was just like, how do you get into this? Like, this is so cool. Like, this is what I want to do. Like, she kind of like laid out like what she wanted to do with her career. No, we were just like, yeah, just go introduce yourself to so-and-so, whoever was directing, and like get someone's contact information and apply. And like 2 weeks later, she was getting introduced to everybody at the office. I'm like, nice.
That's good.
So, yeah, she was always cool to hang with. My buddy Kyle, like I said, Diana, Marley. When Marley came in, I'm like, she's serious about this. Because, you know, like there's some people that want to do it for their career, and there's other people where it's just like a fun college job. Right. And I've talked to Al about it, too, a little bit, where it's just like you can tell who wants it and who's just kind of in cruise control. And Marley was one that wanted it. And she's doing really cool stuff with like ASU and like video production and like mini documentaries and stuff.
She works for AZ Central, doesn't she? Yeah.
So like she's like writing too, which I don't think she like originally thought she was going to get into. And she's just like, yeah, it's interesting. Like it's definitely like another thing. Like you talk about learning different things that you didn't think you were going to learn. Like it's just cool to see like over time how much knowledge you can actually like soak up.
Right. And there's so many like different layers to this. So you never know what you're going to end up in. So just, I don't know, create as many skills as you can to add.
You ever think about starting a podcast?
I've thought about it before. It's a little daunting.
No, it's not. It's literally, this is all it is.
Yeah.
This is like way better than anything else because I can say whatever I want on it. And then when you get to a point you get paid to do it, you know, it's like it's very rewarding in that sense.
That's fair.
As opposed to like on a broadcast too, which I love equally, but like there's certain times where I'm just like, I feel handicapped. I feel like I'm just like shackled when it comes to certain words because you don't want to say something that's totally off color.
Yeah, not too much wiggle room there, but that's fair.
Not at all.
How long have you been doing this podcast?
5-6 years.
Okay.
I started this before I even got hired at GCU TV, which is really cool. Like I came in with like, oh, he's got a podcast, and he had like, I think I had like Dave Portnoy from Barstool on, so they're just like, oh, he interviewed that guy, so
nice.
Give him an opportunity. And like looking back at it, I absolutely sucked because I started this when I was like 17 years old, not knowing, like a total introvert, had no idea how to talk to people in general.
Interesting.
Oh, and those episodes are still out there. It's just like, so, like, you did that. That's pretty cool. They're just like, yeah, great question, kid. Completely unedited because I didn't know how to edit, so everything's raw.
Oh, wow.
So much dead air time.
Huh. Interesting.
I'm shocked it made it this far. Like, literally, like, because COVID happened, I'm like, oh, I can just do shows all the time now.
Yeah.
And we were able to get, like, a few big names on, and people actually, like, started taking it seriously, and, like, drive up a few sponsorships, and then like it's go time.
There you go.
And it's just like a career. Honestly, like I was telling them before you got here too, it's like it's a great like business tactic.
Yeah, for sure.
Like if you're able to like connect with people, like if I just like asked you like, hey, you want to hang out? Like I've been looking at your stuff, you've probably been like, what the fuck? Like who the hell is this guy?
Yeah.
You know? Where like this, like we can actually talk about our careers, and it's actually like a cool setting where it actually like benefits you, and you actually use this for like clips and stuff.
That's true.
You know?
Yeah. No, well, you've interviewed a lot of people too, some pretty big names, which has been cool to see come through because I get to see your O show come through on my Instagram all the time. So.
I appreciate it. Yeah. Does Al ever mention us?
Oh yeah, he does all the time. He always does as many strikes as you went out with. It's funny because I never knew that, and he never talks about that.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't necessarily respect someone coming out, he'll make it known. He respects you so much because he uses you as an example all the time.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Like how? Give me an example.
Just anytime.
Boost my ego.
Yeah, I know. Here we go. Just anytime like we do a broadcast or stuff, be like, this is what Jack would do. This is how Jack would present himself. This is what Jack thought of like with questions. He'd always introduce himself to the coaches. Like, go down and do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
here's what Jack did that you shouldn't do.
He never once
Really?
told us anything like
Such
that.
a good guy. Literally the
Yeah.
best boss I ever had.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Even now, like, he'll like send me that and I'll like critique it for you, see how we can like make it better. I've always appreciated that. Are you good with honest feedback?
Very much. Yeah, he's fantastic when it comes to that. Just very down-to-earth person. You can ask him pretty much anything, and he's there to reciprocate.
Yeah. He's like the perfect balance of down to earth and will tell you how it is.
Yeah. Yep.
Because I've worked with people who will tell you how it is and it just hurts. You're like, that kind of hurt my feelings.
Yep.
That didn't feel good. Where like he's like perfect, just like, yeah, fully transparent. Like, this is what you need to work on. This would make it 10 times better. Just like tweak that a little bit. I'm just like, yeah, like I feel good coming out of that. Like he actually felt like he wanted to help me.
Right. Yeah. No, he's always been great about that. And it's always like, you're going to make what you want out of the program. You have to find yourself. So anything like, oh, I want to set up this interview or I want to do this, like you have to contact him.
Yeah.
Which I kind of appreciate because that's how he weeds out the ones that want it.
Exactly. And it's like implementing your own style too after a while. Like when I first started, I just literally, it was like copy and paste. I grew up a huge Yankee fan, Yankee announcer. That was like the guy I mimicked. And they're just like, oh my God, like you're not bad at all. I'm like, well, I just copied someone.
Yeah.
You know, where like some people go on the air having no clue how to call a game. I'm like, did you even like watch the games growing up? Like you wanted to get into this, like listen to the commentators.
Yep.
Like, did you kind of have like a voice already? Like you knew that, obviously you said Aaron Andrews before, like Montana, like you knew going in.
Krista Thompson, Jenny Taft, just a lot of Fox Sports kind of reporters, which is funny that I'm working there now. But yeah, they're just kind of who I'd look to. And that they do more sideline. So coming in doing color was not what I was expecting. And I didn't even know I was going to get into that. So yeah, I did crunch time homework and just like, we got to figure this out.
So what exactly at Fox are you doing? Like tech stuff or like behind the scenes?
Yeah, at Fox, I'm in their tech department right now, and we're just responsible for all of the inbound feeds that come to us, and then we just put them out on air. And so anything that goes wrong or the screen goes black, that's us. So it's fun, though. I really like what I'm getting to do because there's, like we talked about, so many different sides to production. This is not even one I had on my radar. And so getting to work in this now is really cool. There is a lot of stuff that's way above my head, but people have been really great about just teaching me. And, like, if you want to learn, they're there to help you learn. And that's been really, really fun. So I've been there for maybe 3 months now. It's not been a long time, but it's a great community. It's only 2 years old here in Tempe.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah, they built it during 2020. So they're moving all their tech hub out to Arizona.
Oh, nice. I mean, that's like the perfect place to be, though, because you're just throwing yourself in the deep end. Like, you're going to learn how to swim one way or another. You're either going to, swim or drown? I don't know the quote. But, like, that's the best place to be because you can only learn. And they brought you there for a reason, you know? Right. Like, you figure it out along the way, and then you add a new skill.
Right. Yeah, and they've been very good about just like, oh, do you want to learn this? I'm like, yeah. And they'll take me through for hours and teach me. And that's great because I'm a communications major. I'm not in the tech world at all. And so just, I don't know, being able to learn as fast as possible is good right now. But I love doing what I'm doing with them.
Yeah. And is that going to be like a full-time thing once you graduate, or
it already
just going to be bouncing around? So
you're
like,
yep.
No personal life, huh?
A little bit. 5%.
Go to the rodeo a little bit. Yeah. Every now and then.
Get to sit on a bull, it's good. No, I'm able to keep a little bit of a personal life, but right now it's hard with 3 jobs, and that one's full-time overnight, but it's good. I feel like I'm not really working because I love what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So.
It's a great answer.
Yeah.
It's a great place to be. Mm-hmm. Do you, are you like surrounded by people who want to be, obviously at GCU, like everybody wants to get into it, but like even like what do your friends do? Like, are they just all over the place?
Yeah, very much all over the place. I mean, Maddie, Chelsea, Diana, like obviously the people I work with, very much on the same path, trajectory as me. But I mean, I have roommates and friends who are like engineering, mechanical engineering, culinary, and it's all over the place. But it's just cool to see kind of everybody reaching for their dreams at 21, 22, 23 years old and just brand new starting out. So
I'm like you'll like being a storyteller, like you'll look back at all of this and it'll all like add up. Like my buddy, I think he wanted to be a firefighter throughout college, and then senior year he's like, I'm gonna start training for the Air Force.
Right.
So like I've lived with him for 4 years in college, then a year and a half after college, and earlier this year he left for the Air Force. We haven't seen him since, which is just like, it stinks. But he's doing his thing, and it's really cool to see like all of our different personalities like meshing together. Like we have one guy who's in finance, but he's so fun to be around. Like me just doing like podcast stuff, broadcasting, whatever. And then Air Force guy, we have a few people who work with foster homes, which is really cool, like little kids. Yeah, I lived with 4 girls last year who are like sisters to me.
Nice.
So it was just like a good mix of just like dude friends, girlfriends, just like I feel like we kind of got lucky like being in that environment.
That's awesome.
Where like you probably have like a ton of close friends where it's like you guys are different, but it's like everybody has their own thing and you guys just like click for some reason, for like unbeknownst reason.
No, definitely. It's just fun to see like where everyone's starting, where everyone's going. And I mean, it inspires you too, even if it's not in the same field. Just seeing somebody like successful in their own passion, it's awesome. But
how are you with staying in touch with people? I always find this interesting because like even like in podcasting, like I'll have someone on, it'll be like a great conversation, and then it's just like, it's like, how am I going to stay in touch with them? You know, like completely different lifestyles, you know?
Yeah.
Like every now and then I'll like try to send someone a text message, like professionally, personally, are you good at staying in touch with people?
Professionally, yes. Personally, I'm more of an introvert.
Are you?
So yeah. I keep my circle of friends pretty close.
All you need is like 2, 3.
Yeah.
Like 2 or 3 friends that are really good. Beyond that, you're just an acquaintance.
Yeah, it's kind of true. Yeah. No, I have definitely my 2 or 3 people out here in Arizona, and then I have close friends from back home. It's harder to keep in touch with people from back home, just because like I don't get to see them every day like I used to. But I still get to go back and see them, and we FaceTime and talk still, and I love that. So
yeah,
it's different not being in the same room with someone. So.
Yeah, I definitely, like, I have a buddy who I saw him for the first time in maybe 4 years a couple of weeks ago, because I'm from back east, and I just haven't been back, and it was just like, oh, it's like I never left, and I text him, like, all the time, you know, like, you have, like, those core friends that you just know, like, it doesn't matter how much time apart we have, like, we're just always going to be, like, it's like Vertigo, you just become the person that you were when you were with them.
Yeah, absolutely. No, like, that's awesome.
I mean, and then there's other people that you haven't seen in a while. You're just like, oh, like you've changed, which is normal. And it's just like, but it's different, you know? Like you were expecting to like see the kid that like you were like in college with, and it's just like, oh my God, you're not the same person at all.
Yeah, hopefully a good thing.
Like some people, you know, you being an introvert, I was a total introvert. You know, like I go back, I'm just asking, like ripping all these questions, like, how are you? What are you doing? I saw you were doing this. I was just like, oh my God, like, who are you?
Yeah.
Go stand quiet in the corner over there, dude. You did in high school.
No, that's fair. I totally understand that, but it's hard to keep in touch with people, but it's not so bad. I like being able to still go back and see them. It's only a 7-hour drive, so.
I thought it was like 4 or 5 hours. I can't believe that.
Wish. It'd be nice.
That's not bad. Are you going back for Thanksgiving this week?
I'm not. No,
really?
We had the FIFA World Cup with Fox.
So
it's a little busy.
You're a grinder.
Yeah.
Forgot. You're working nonstop. Just burning the candle at both ends.
Yeah. A little bit. It's fun though.
What about like Christmas and all that?
Yeah, I think my family's going to come out here, which I'm excited about because they've never really stayed out in Arizona. So
you might fall in love with it.
I'm trying to pull them
Get
out
everyone
here.
to come here?
Yeah. Yep. Well, my brother's already out here. He's at GCU too. This is his first year.
Nice.
So
does he want to get into broadcasting?
He's computer programming. He's a big code
It's
person.
kind of the same thing. You can get into video editing, go into Final Cut Pro.
Yeah.
Finish what I started 4 years ago.
And actually teach people. Yeah. No. He loves it here so far. And so it's just my mom and dad left, and I'm like, come out to Arizona. You'll like it.
So is this where you want to be, like, moving forward?
It is. I just signed on my first apartment, so I'm staying out here for a while.
Nice.
Yeah.
You got roommates?
Yeah, I do.
That's important.
I know.
I've been living with myself the last year.
Yeah.
It was not fun financially.
Yeah, I know. It hurts right now.
Yeah. It's a little rough starting out, but what's like the perfect life scenario for you when all your hard work pays off? Like, what do you want to look back at? Or is it just kind of like wherever like God takes me is what's going to happen, and you're going to be thankful and grateful for it?
That's kind of it more than anything, because I didn't think I'd be here come 2 years ago. So it's all up in the air. And then I feel like I kind of have a path of what I want to do, and that's the NFL sideline reporting, and then own a few horses. I'd like that. But as far as that goes, I don't even know. I'm going to try my hardest, but wherever I end up, I'm just going to be happy with it. So
start your own farm out here in Phoenix.
Yeah, Phoenix is definitely a farm place. I feel like that would be interesting. I'd have to go down to like Queen Creek or something like that.
Exactly. Just go to the desert.
Yeah.
Where nothing's over there.
Yeah. Get a couple chickens.
Take from the rodeo.
There you go.
Once you hit it big with Fox Sports, you'll have enough money to buy out everything from the rodeo.
There we go.
And then just start your own.
Yeah.
That's how it's done.
I know. I love working with Fox Sports, but the thing is, if I want to do production with them, I have to move out to LA.
LA's fun.
Yeah.
In your 20s?
True. Might be worth it. So it's kind of up in the air.
Yeah. If you had one chance to interview anybody, who would it be? If you started your own show.
Erin Andrews.
Montana knows Erin Andrews, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I saw she had like an interview with her or something.
Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Look into it. Get her.
Right. True. She comes here quite a bit.
I'll have Erin Andrews on, and then I'll just be like, here's my friend Amanda.
Hey,
check her out. Look at her work. She's basically you.
Oh.
15 years ago.
Yeah. No, she's awesome. So that's so cool though.
If you were to start your own podcast, which I think you'd be really good at it, what would it be about?
Oh, that's a really good question, but I have no idea.
That's the mistake I made. Still continue to make, because we're 561 episodes in. It's just like I interview all walks of life, but there's no like niche.
Yeah.
You know, like you want to have a niche.
Yeah,
that's the advice I give anybody.
Oof. I mean, if it was a niche and to keep on brand, I'd have to do it about sports.
You can have like athletes on and do certain things though.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, I was watching a clip today of like the Late Show with James Corden. Mm-hmm. He's the British guy playing games with like Kevin Hart and The Rock of eating like the most disgusting food, where it's just like either like tell the truth to the question I'm asking or eat the food. Yeah. And he would just ask like really close personal like questions that you probably couldn't answer. Like, how much did you get paid for this movie? Like stuff that you're probably like contractually like not allowed to say. Yeah. And they're just like trying to like reword it. They're like, do I eat this piece? Like it was like spinach cake and like all these really gross foods that don't mesh well together. Like, I thought that was a really cool concept. Hot Ones, I think, is a brilliant concept too. Okay. The wing show.
Yeah.
Where, like, as they're going and they just increasingly get hotter and hotter.
Mm-hmm. You have to do something like that. You gotta incorporate food somehow.
Yeah. You could do like horseback riding. Like, get someone who's like insanely uncomfortable of being on a horse and just go like riding through the farm.
There you go. First time rider. Let's see how this goes.
Today, where can we follow you? On Instagram, Twitter, all that?
My handle for Instagram's Amanda_Roche017.
I always screw you over with the underscores.
I know. And then Twitter is I think it's Roche4. But yeah, those are my two areas.
Does anybody mispronounce your name?
Yes, all the time, and which I'm fine
with.
Roche.
Roche is a good one.
Yeah, I like
that one. It's like, yeah, I'm Amanda Roche.
Yeah, that's an upgrade.
Mine was always O'Hare, as if they didn't see the A at the end. Or Jake. Like, are you using your eyes?
Jake O'Hare.
Jake O'Hare. I'm like, nope, that's not my name. Well, I appreciate you coming on, dude.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for having me. It's been fun.
How many interviews do you do?
This is my second.
Sweet. Yeah. Well, you're going to get a lot more now. Guys, check out this interview with Amanda Roche. Remember, use that promo code, capital OSHOW20 for $20 off your next order. Lots happening in Phoenix. We got the Waste Management Open, the Super Bowl. Phoenix Suns are back in action, so you want to check it out. But check out episode 561 on YouTube at Jack O'Hara TV.